From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hello, I'm Joe Sanders, your host for Around Foxborough, and with us as special guest today is Rachael Calabrese, the Executive Director and founder of Confikids. Welcome, Rachael.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me here today.
Well, I know it's my pleasure. So I'll tell you, I read a little bit about your organization, and you know I'm fairly new in town, so I don't know from experience, but what I read I loved, and the whole idea of well, I'm going to read this. I think this was like your mission. Active kids do better in life. I agree. Participation in activities empowers children with confidence. That confidence is part of your name. So can you tell me how did this start? How did you get involved with this?
So it really stemmed from the Foxboro community. At the time, my kids were involved in the school. I was a recreational coordinator for the town.
Okay.
And parents would call and say they would love for their kids to take robotics or tennis, but we didn't have a way to give it to them for free. We had to pay their instructors and whatnot. So I'd gather a couple of people and say, can you pitch in a couple of dollars? And I'd call them back and say, yeah, it's paid for, you got a scholarship. And at the same time, I was a volunteer soccer coach for youth soccer, and it was I had a couple kids on my team that just really wouldn't have been able to play if there wasn't some scholarships for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you talk about grassroots. I mean,
Yeah.
you were doing like day one, or okay.
Yeah, I was very invested in the kids, in my community, and just saw like right here, there was a place where people couldn't afford these different programs, had to research everything's pay to play right now. There's no playing in the neighborhoods. So if they can't afford different activities as simple as soccer, I mean, what's happening with hockey and dance and gymnastics? So we really I left my job in 2016, started Confikids, and as they say, it's been a trip since then.
Well, I know it's not just necessarily sports, is it? It's the whole diversity of getting involved in what we used to call after-school activities or clubs or this and that. Can you expound a little bit on some of the, you mentioned soccer already, some other programs that students have?
Sure. When we started this, I struggled a little bit. I was trying to find what's a kid's passion about, kids' passion. And then we some kids switch from one thing to another. They take a while to figure out what they're actually passionate about. And in the end, I don't think any of us sometimes thinks that our kids going NFL or, but it builds their confidence, right? So we came out with Confidence Kids, Confikids, and we just love it. We just started off from the beginning, just funding these kids, and it's been great.
Yeah,
it's been great.
It sounds great, and I know you mentioned to me earlier. Technically the organization started in 2017, which was basically it's coming on 8 years, but it's still fairly new. I understand you have a milestone coming up pretty soon with that.
We do.
Tell us about that, will you?
We do. So we started in 2017, just fundraising, really started doing our application online process 2018, and now in our 8th year, we're approaching the $1 million mark for funding kids. So we have we've helped over 2,000 kids continue in what they love to do, and by late spring, early summer, we'll have reached our $1 million mark funding kids.
That's phenomenal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's real. It's exciting. I love, when I first found out that we were going to be speaking today, I did a little research and I thought, wow, I love this cause. I mean, I look back when I was young and, our schools had everything you needed and wanted, and, it didn't seem to be a problem. I mean, you could get involved. One little short story, which we haven't talked about before, but I work in the middle school, and one of the teachers, the math teacher, asked the kids the questions. Would you rather be really good at sports or really good at grades? And if you like the sports, go to the back of the room, and the grades move to the front of the room. And I went back with the sports. And they were saying, Mr. Sanders, why are you doing that? And I said, because sports, you're dealing with people. Grades, you're dealing with yourself and studying. And I said, they're both needed. But if I had to pick one, I would do the one which requires you to communicate with people, because that's what life is about. And this is what I think of your organization, that you're getting kids ready for the real world. And
yeah, whether it's sports or music lessons or dance or gymnastics, sometimes we fund kids in bowling teams, whatever they love to do.
Right.
They meet their community. If you're a kid who loves archery or bowling and you meet other kids who love archery or bowling, you can meet your best friends, and that's what you talk about, and building your community. Absolutely.
I told you earlier that I might go off on a tangent. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I remember that this is such a flashback for me. I used to teach ROTC at Rutgers University, and we used to grab the freshmen and say, let's get them out to the woods. Let's teach them how to build a tent. They'll build a sense of friends that they're not going to get in trouble with. You know? But so you get them out doing the whole point was we taught them how to make a pup tent. I mean, big deal. But it was something they did together, and they enjoyed it. And maybe they didn't do it forever, but I think if they have a passion.
Absolutely. So basically, there's just so many lessons. Like when we started this, we were like, we want them to meet some friends and be able to do something so they're not home watching TV or on their phones, right?
Yeah.
And it's evolved into so much more. It is just their community, giving them, there's so many lessons to being on a team, like being a teammate, Actually, during the pandemic time, when we couldn't fundraise, I wrote a series of books, and the first one just became published. It's called Sammy Starts Soccer, and we've been selling that. 100% of the proceeds, thanks to Barrett Distribution, comes back to Confikids when we sell them. But the whole thing is about Sammy learning to be a teammate. He thinks he's a professional because he's practiced one summer and is barking at all the other kids and being a ball hog. And
it's like Ted Lasso. Have you ever seen that show?
Yes, I have.
Oh my God, you gotta believe.
Yeah, that's so he just learns that there's a lot more to being on a team than there's no I in team, and he learns that when a lot of the kids are not asking him to go for ice cream after. And there's so many lessons the kids can learn. Whatever sport or thing they're invested in, just so many other lessons that they're missing out on if they don't have the money to participate in these activities.
Yeah, I mean, that alone, I mean, you talk about the leveling the playing field, so to say, giving kids an opportunity no matter whether they can afford it or not. That's not the point. It is sad that the kids that can't get the opportunity, they miss out on the social side of it, and that means their confidence doesn't grow. And it's just, it's sad. It's really sad.
And what we're doing is changing that narrative, right?
Yes.
So now, we've been doing this for 8 years. So some of the kids that we first got in at 4th or 5th grade when everything started, they're in high school now. So I just talked to a mother she had 2 girls. One loved singing and performing arts, and we helped her in her drama classes and singing. One loved basketball, so we funded her basketball program. Now the sophomore is on the basketball team. She's one of the best, most valuable players. And they asked her to be on a club team for college.
Wow.
Right? And the oldest is just got on a select choir team, and she's raising funds so she can go out to Carnegie Hall in New York.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like she said, both these girls, we attribute Confikids to that, because when they got here, they wouldn't have made the basketball team going up against kids who had 8 years of youth basketball programs. She wouldn't have made the team if we didn't fund the singing lessons. So, and they're staying in school. Like now that they're making the teams and they're making the choir and they're making the roles in drama, like they love school because they love their activity. Yeah. So there's so much between building your community, but even staying in school and getting an education.
Right. No, because they're motivated. I mean, it's all positive energy. I'm just curious, how would someone, let's just say, I mean, I'm just making things up. Like right now, I'm with you. I'm teaching, right, in a school. If I find a kid that I think has promise, or that would be a candidate, let's say, for applying for something.
So most of the applicants come from the parents who apply for their children online. A good portion of them come from social workers. We have school nurses that apply for their kids, because those school nurses are on the front line and they see the kids, and they know where sometimes their mental health is at, or what they could use. Sometimes it's teachers, a lot of times coaches. I've had coaches contact me and say, this kid would be perfect in this program. But so then we do, they connect us with the parents, we work them through the portal application. So, and in one of our most interesting communities, we have someone who is on our board that is a domestic violence counselor. And when she's going through the different resources of now, you have just flown from domestic violence, and your kids can still participate in programs or find a new community home, even though maybe you can't afford it because everything that just happened. The mothers, and sometimes the fathers, whoever is somebody fleeing, are often so thrilled that their kids are going to be able to find a community of their own.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
So, fundraising. Could you tell us a little bit about, I know you got a big thing coming up. Let's talk about it. Go ahead, now's the time.
We do a lot of fundraising. So much so I think we exhaust people, but we always try to come up with some fun, different ideas. We did a Foxboro variety show at the theater, Foxboro Family Variety show for years. We always try to come up with something fun. We always did a spring event, and we used to do like a Kentucky Derby event, or one year we did a superhero gala. We always try to do something fun, and last year we came up with the concept of the Inspiration Gala. And what we do is we ask 3 to 4 of our kids that we've been funding for quite some time in their program, and we match them with a professional, somebody who made a career or a life out of that activity. So last year we had Manny Del Carmen from the Red Sox talk to a local Foxboro boy in baseball, and they just fed off each other. It was great. Manny talked about some of the opportunities that were given to him as a kid. Encouraged Lucas to just go for your dreams and find whatever you can, to take as many baseball programs as possible. Lucius was wearing his World Series ring, so it was amazing.
That is cool.
So we had 4 sets of people. We had Chris Rappold from Personal Best Karate as a 5-time martial arts champion. So this year we have 3 speakers and 3 children. We'll have New England Patriot, former Patriot Logan Mankins, Hall of Famer, and he will be speaking alongside a child that we've been funding in football. We have Casey Bellamy, who is a 3-time Olympian winner for women's ice hockey, alongside a girl that we fund from Attleboro, and a girls ice well, it's actually a co-ed ice hockey team. And we'll have Ayla Brown, very well-known celebrity on American Idol, DJ. She does a podcast. She's amazing, along with a child that we've been funding in music.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a great program. It's dinner, dancing, fun. We keep our program to about an hour. Last year we had it up at the Renaissance, and we outgrew it. There was just not enough room for everyone, and we launched the tickets, and we're right about we were last year, and it's 2 months away.
Wow! So it's in March, I think, right?
It's in March 20. It's March 28th. It's at the Lake Pearl in Rentham.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be an amazing. We make it such a fun night.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
We can't continue until we bring up the fact that we've had a pretty famous person here in the last 2 weeks. There's an Olympian by the name of Frederick Richard.
Frederick Richard, yeah.
Can you tell us about that visit? What that does for the kids to meet someone like that?
It was amazing.
About him.
Frederick Richard is just, I've met him a couple of times now. He's just like, he's a 19, 20-year-old kid, somewhere in that field. And he used, not only did he help us win bronze for the men's gymnastics team, but he really right away focused on like there needs to be kids, men, boys, black community. Like he needed to see other kids in this sport that's so expensive. And he just said, you know, it needs to be open, and he wants to work to help as many kids as possible have that opportunity. So right away, we connected with him.
Sure.
And so he ended up donating his time. It was something that we acquired through the Robin for Kids Foundation, and we're able to take 6 of our kids to train with him last Sunday. And gosh, he's a natural. He was so great with the kids. He's building them up. Some of the older kids were so nervous to meet him, and he just calmed their nerves right away. Was very positive.
Is he from Taunton?
He's from Stoughton.
Stoughton, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
He's from Stoughton. He actually came in. He had to do an event out in Springfield on Saturday. He had our kids on Sunday, and he was leaving the gym to go right back to school. He's got a full, he's training for the upcoming Olympics, and he's a student at Michigan State.
Michigan.
In Michigan, yeah. Michigan, yeah.
I happen to be from Michigan. There's a big difference between Michigan State and Michigan. But
Michigan, okay,
he's a university. He's a Wolverine. Anyway,
he is.
Well, you talked about the gala, and I'm still. It's amazing, $1 million since 2017. So is that only gala money, or,
no,
what other types of fundraisers?
We are nonstop. Anybody who knows us in the community, they're like, oh, there goes Confikids again. We are in the Robin Ride for Kids.
Okay.
We're affiliate partner with them, charity. They are amazing to us. So last year our goal was $100,000, and we earned it. Wow. We have people who ride for us virtually, ride on Ride Day. It's amazing. We're a part of the Falmouth Road Race. We get 20 bibs, and our Falmouth Road runners, a lot of people right here in the Foxboro community. They raise about $40,000 for us.
Wow.
And then we do a lot of fun different things. We do a fun Grinch program, and we have the Grinch show up at different restaurants and parties for donations. So we're always trying to do something different, but we try to diversify our funds. We have GEM members, which are give every month.
Okay.
So whether it's $10 or $25 or $100, these people are our lifeline. They contribute every single month, so we know it's coming in. Those go directly to the kids. Again, the book, we have the proceeds from the book, and we apply for grants, and we're just starting to scratch the surface.
Well, I'll tell you, I won't name names, but I think I've said 1,000 times I work at the middle school, so I was wearing this outfit. And what do you all dress up for? I said, I have an interview. Who are you? And I told them, she's great. So at the schools, they love you, and because you're making a big difference for all of our kids here, and that's. Yeah,
we've known Matt a long time. I adore his wife.
You mentioned him. Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, he's just a great guy, and working up at the school, and we've been in this community for about 23 years now.
Okay.
Again, I was just saying out to some of the people when I first got here, your kids graduate out of the schools and you don't see people as much anymore.
Yeah.
So I have one last child, my daughter's at Southeastern Regional, but we just used to be so engrossed, it's so involved in the schools.
Well, you mentioned something before we went on air that I'd like you to mention because it makes so much sense. And I probably will misrepresent it, so you'll pick it up when I start.
Yeah, that's okay.
You mentioned about, let's say, as a kid that likes something, and they're doing it for the first time, and they start to get really good at it. And maybe they're there a couple years, and your scholarship philosophy. Could you just talk about that a little bit? Because that's to me is very interesting and very heartening to know that that's what you do.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. They think that we just fund children in programs, which we do. But we started off from the very beginning saying, whatever the activity the child's in, we don't want to get them to the brown belt, which means everybody hears about the black belt, right? We want to get them to as far as we can. We fund from first grade through 8th grade. And that means that if a child starts with us 2nd or 3rd grade and loves hockey, and their financial picture hasn't changed and they apply every year, that's our first priority. We're never going to, we never guarantee anything. And some children move and some children go to different sports or quit for whatever reason. It runs everywhere on that. But if the child continues in that activity, they're our first priority. We will really try to fund them year after year, and that way we've invested sometimes. In some kids, we've invested about $10,000 to $12,000 in a child before they graduate from our program and go to high school. Then I feel like we've done the best we could to level the playing field so that they do have a shot to be in the choir. They do have a shot to really excel in band. They do have a shot to make that cheer team or without being cut.
I can imagine, I mean, the need being so great. I mean, there's no end to what the possibilities are of what your organization could do. And I'm sure that sometimes it might be frustrating that you can't do more for more kids, because it just baffles me that it's just the way it is these days. There isn't as much money in the school budgets to do everything everybody would like.
You know, when we started funding, we started funding in quarters, and we still do. So we'd start a quarter with a certain amount of money, and people would apply online, and we'd approve them or decline them, whatever we had to do with the information that was coming in. And we would actually get to about a week or two before the end of the quarter, and then we'd shut down. Now it's not like that. So we started, for example, in January with $52,000 of funding for the quarter, and we had to shut down 3 weeks in. So now we've just run out of money funding for the kids. So now it'll be closed. We'll get emails from parents, from teachers saying but this kid.
It's got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, this kid could really use this, and you can't give something you don't have, right? So our dream is to get in so many donations, get in so many, get more GEM members so that we can build those reserves so we can say yes all through the quarter if possible.
So you mentioned already some fundraisers, and you mentioned the gala coming up in March. If someone wants to reach out, like with a kid, or reach out with funding ideas, how do you recommend that they do that?
So we're at confikids.org. That's our website. More and more, we're getting people who just come on board to. We got about 6 or 7 new GEM members that say, we'll give you $25 a month. That's like a small lunch or something to help a kid. But you can donate online. You can find out about our annual sponsors. We work with a lot of businesses that sponsor us and give us fundings each year. You can apply online when we're open. You can just reach out and contact us, and if you have some idea for fundraising, or we usually have our schedule all set for the year. But we'll always somebody just threw something out about goat yoga, and we said, I think just last year, and we said, I think we can do that this year. So.
I like the GEM, because we have the GEM over at the Senior Center. That's the publication that talks about all the events for this. But give every month, everybody. That's the key here.
It's
if you
amazing.
Want, I'll say this, and then I'll turn it back over to you, because we have a few more minutes. Donating to this organization, to me, I don't see how anybody wouldn't want to if they could, because this is the future, and this is why I'm in the school system at all. This is the future of our country. We have the best country in the world, and the future are the kids, and they need to be leaders, and they need to lead. So is there anything we got a couple minutes. It's your time. Tell me anything you'd like to.
I can go on for days.
Well,
I don't have the time.
Go ahead.
No,
I'll cut you.
No, I just feel like, thank you. I feel like there's so many different ways to get involved. We definitely have a lot of volunteers that do a fun summer challenge with us. We work with families to meet other families that love to give back, and they do a little lemonade stand challenge. We really try to keep to our grassroots. If you look on our website and you see our team, you will hover over one of our board of directors, and you'll see them as a kid in the activity that they loved, that grew their confidence. I think, but there's so many different ways. Whether you contact us and say, I want to sponsor, we have a couple people that say, I want to sponsor a kid in swimming. We loved swimming. Or my son loves swimming. So,
That's super.
So we'll say okay, and we never the HIPAA rules ever give the kids names unless they absolutely signed off on anything. But we'll say, yeah, we have this child, we have Laureen in swimming or whatever, and they're we're going to fund them to the tune of $750 this year.
I like that.
And we'll give them updates. We'll give them updates if they check in and say we'll give them updates. So there's just so many different ways to participate, to donate, to give. I'll be at the library here doing a reading of Sammy Starts Soccer on February 15th on a Saturday, and that's just doing a reading about our book. You could buy the book, you can find out more about how to get involved.
Yeah. I like the direct, I loved this, so I'd like to donate for someone who, I really like that. Well, thank you very much, Rachael. We've actually getting close to running out of time. So I'd like to thank you, Rachael Calabrese, our special guest today, and I'm your host, Joe Sanders, on Around Foxborough.